Stephen. How are you?
Oh, wait,
Good,
we're
how's it
hearing
going?
things. We can also hear a swirling sound. Is that the dishwasher or washing
Yes,
machine?
that is a heater because it is so friggin' cold here.
Oh,
Oh, should I show you? I'm wearing shorts right now. It's just it's going to hit. We're in the
it's
80s.
not
It's
nice.
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah, we've been working
Yeah,
with a lot
no,
of
it's
East Coasters.
yesterday it was -2.
That's
Did I lose you?
No,
no,
yes,
we're all
minus
in
two.
we're all in shock. Like, oh, why do people live there? It's crazy.
Are you in New York or New Jersey?
I am in New York, yeah. I'm
Mm-mm.
actually about an hour north of the city, so it's even colder. We had 19 inches of snow last week.
How are
So
you at snow plowing? Are you a good shoveler?
I'm really bad at it. I hire somebody. So
Oh,
a time where I was going to move to Los Angeles, and I sometimes wonder why I didn't. So
Well, on days like this.
yeah.
yeah, I think about the times I could have moved to LA and did not. So what can I do about it? So,
How'd you reach the decision?
to not move there?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't want to diss Los Angeles, so let's not go there.
All right.
But,
We've heard it all, and we'll edit it. We won't
yeah.
offend anybody.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah, even
it's
even
nice
your
to
friend.
talk to you guys again.
Yeah. I was about to say, even your friend Matt Pinfield moved out here, so
Yeah,
he's
I know.
thriving as well.
Yeah, he's living the life out there. He's really
He's doing well.
he's the king out there. So
I saw him a
Yeah.
few months ago. He's looking good. He's really, it's insane
Yeah.
how he's.
yeah, well,
how
you heard
he
what happened to
recovered.
him.
Yeah. That's why
Yeah,
when I
yeah.
saw
So you
him,
know
I was
all
like,
about that.
it's like, please give me I want a hug from him. Like, I am so happy that you can, you're able to move around. And yeah, he goes to shows. I think he's on a cruise right now. You think he's on the 90s cruise right now.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's that sounds about right. He
So yeah, he never stops. And yeah, good for him.
yeah. So he had a really bad illness, as you know. I don't know if illness is the right word,
No,
but
yeah, he was in a
he had
3 months. Like 3
coma.
months.
He was in a coma for like a
Yeah.
month.
Yeah.
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 And in between the time I worked with you guys with the When Rock Met Disco, I wrote a whole other book of When Rock Met Reggae. And then I've written this When Rock Met Hip Hop. So I've done a trilogy. I was very sick during the time of the reggae book. I actually had cancer. So
Oh,
that was
Are
pretty awful. I wouldn't wish it on anybody. I had stage 4 lymphoma. I actually could have died, to be honest with you. So
and you're in
but I
remission?
did write a book during it.
Yeah,
What was
you
that?
got some
I'm in
health
remission.
to you?
Yeah, I'm totally in
Sorry.
remission.
Yeah, you look. Oh
I
my God,
am
congratulations!
62.
You're a fighter, man. Good job.
I did fight. I fought really, really, really hard. So it was tough. So yeah, Matt and I went through our stuff right around the same time. So we
Wow.
have talked about it ourselves amongst us about survival. So
Is it okay if we mention this in the podcast? Just that you're recovering.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
You're good. Okay.
I'm okay with it. I didn't talk about it at all when it happened. But now I'm okay about it. So
Well, now we're extra happy to have you back.
So here's a funny part about it was when you're in chemotherapy, they put you on incredibly high doses of steroids. So I was So I was able to write like incredible amounts of words. It's like taking methamphetamine or something. I was able to write like 20, 30 pages a day. But then again, of course, I would crash and
Sure.
from the chemo, then I couldn't, then I'd be in the hospital for 12 days, So, but I was
Yeah.
actually able to write it and then actually able to make sense of it afterwards. Because I didn't know what I was writing at the time. But it was quite an ordeal. So, but I think I've written my best book now with the When Rock Met Hip Hop. I really feel like it's the best written book I've done, and writing a trilogy is quite an accomplishment. So it's been quite an ordeal.
When you proposed this, was it proposed originally as a trilogy, or did you think you were just doing a one-off?
No, not at all. But I got such a kick out of the disco book. That really just took me on this ride. I always loved reggae. Well, you guys know this from our discussions back in the day, was when I wrote When Rock Met Disco, it's not really a history of disco. I'm not really writing about Do the Hustle and Tony Manero and Saturday Night Fever. I'm really talking about the crossover, right? I'm talking about Miss You by the Rolling Stones, and I Was Made for Loving You by Kiss, and Do You Think I'm Sexy by Rod Stewart. And what a powerful crossover that was, because these were rock bands. These were bands that toured 200 days a year. It wasn't just like traditional disco was orchestras and light jazz ensembles and things like that. So when I did the reggae book, I was When Rock Met Reggae. Well, first I did the When Rock Met Disco.
Yeah, there you go.
And then I did When Rock Met Reggae. And this story was it's actually starting to really sell now because of the When Rock Met Hip Hop book. But it didn't sell too much when I was really sick. But I came back, and I was always a big fan of punk rock and new wave, and so I wasn't really telling the story of Jamaican music so much as I was telling the story about when the Clash and the Police and bands like that played reggae, and they brought it to a whole other level. Then when I did this When Rock Met Hip Hop book, that was more in my wheelhouse. That was the music that I, living in New York City, seeing Run DMC, seeing the Beastie Boys, seeing the crossover of Aerosmith and Run DMC, seeing the crossover of Public Enemy and Anthrax. That was really the music that I related to. And that book is, I hired a publicist this time around, and they've done a really good job. Reached out to you, and it's really kind of taken off. So, and now the whole trilogy has taken off as well. Le Monde, which is the French newspaper, called it the Lord of the Rings of rock trilogies.
See, there.
You just really said that, yeah. I love it.
Yeah,
so that's funny. Was it always a trilogy? I was listening to our last podcast, and you when you were talking about the disco book, and you mentioned that reggae was coming up. Did you already have in the back of your mind? I'm going to do. We got a hip hop one coming up.
Correct. Yeah, the hip hop one was really, my agent proposed that to me. He says, "Well, if you're going to go write about disco and you're going to write about reggae, you might as well write about what you know really well, which is the crossover of rock and and hip hop.
Yeah.
So I wish I could take more credit for it than I do, but that was kind of how it all came about. The book's already in the charts, and I am pretty proud of that. It's a labor of love. All of these, I feel like it's it's a labor of love, and it's something that I've had in me, obviously, to be able to do. So I bring you When Rock Met Hip Hop.
What was your into, since this is your passion, this is more, like you said, more your wheelhouse. What was your entry into was it hip hop and rock at the same time for you? Was it hip hop? What brought you
Yeah,
in?
I've always had very wide variety of interests in music. I don't really look at music as a singular. I look at it as a cornucopia of interests, if you will. Living in New York, I was around for the rise of hip hop. Of course, I was there for Rapper's Delight and New York, New York, and all those kind of early records. But I think the Beastie Boys were really the start of it. Rick Rubin, I knew these guys. The first Beastie Boys record was called Rock Hard, and it was rapping to AC/DC Back in Black. And then they did their album License to Ill. And License to Ill had Kerry King from Slayer playing on it. So that was really caught my interest. Love heavy metal, love punk rock, love hip hop. So it all kind of came together really that simply. And then I was already listening to Run DMC. They had done the song Rock Box. They had done King of Rock. And then when they pulled it all together with Walk This Way with Aerosmith, that was really it. I mean, I think it's VH1 had called it the #1 rock video of the late 20th century. And I really think that's correct, because that's where the music all came together. If you think about the song, which is obviously bringing together rock and hip hop, but you also think about the video. And the video, if you remember the video of Walk This Way, it's literally breaking down the barriers. It's Run DMC and Aerosmith breaking down the walls.
Yeah.
And I think
Literally.
that's a metaphor for what happened. Metaphor, is that the right word? I think so.
Yeah.
But it's
Well,
where it all
what
came together.
metaphors are what the Beastie
Yeah.
Boys were good
That
at.
was my 25-cent word. It used to be a 10-cent word. Now it's a 25-cent word.
Yeah, now it's
So,
well, reading your book, it was what these like Run DMC were growing up on. They were listening to the radio. They were listening to rock music. They were talking about radio in the 70s and how eclectic it was, and they heard all sorts of different sounds, and they became fans of metal. And it was kind of a natural progression of, they were into rock. They wanted to be the kings of rock. It seemed like, based on a lot of these interviews, that they were inspired by the music that they heard growing up, like rock guitar based music, and then kind of adding certain elements like Billy Squier and and the like of just like that had those drum beats and putting them on their own albums.
Yeah, I mean, I love that I wrote a chapter on Billy Squier.
Yeah,
there's the whole story of Billy Squier.
That was on a lot of
31 songs.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Because Billy Squier, respect to Billy Squier, but by any measure, he's a fair to middling rock star. He's not, he's not Led Zeppelin or something. I mean, he was somewhere, the big beat, and those songs they're not like the greatest songs ever, but they had the break beat. And the break beat was what the DJs were looking at. And but the idea that there's over 300 songs that have sampled that is just mind-boggling. I mean, it's beyond the pale. and you know, from Run DMC to Eminem, everybody's used those songs. It's really powerful if you think about it. You know, there's a few songs. There's this one part at the beginning with African Bambaataa, and he's talking about all the songs that he used to sample, and it's you know, you think about that, and that's the crossover of rock and hip hop. You know, that's where it all starts. You know, he's sampling Foghat, and he's sampling Eddie Money, and he's, you know, and all that kind of stuff, and that's how it starts. So it's really interesting, sociologically speaking. I like to always talk about how music is not black and white; it's more shades of gray, or shades of brown or gray, or whatever you want to call it. It's somewhere in between. I started to say shades of gray, but that's a whole other thing. That's a whole other subject. I think we talk a lot about race in America. Races, everybody crosses over. I don't buy this thing that, you know, America's black or white. I think it totally crosses over. People basically get along. And I think that's a really important part of this book, by talking about that, because, you know, it's when rock met hip hop, you know, is really, it really kind of says it all, because it's when white and black meet together and create something new and special.
That's one of the things that kind of struck me about it early on, is about the mixing, the admiration for both, from the heavy rock bands and the hip hop bands, the black hip hop bands, because not all of them were. That there was they vibed, you know, they vibed then, and then it seemed like later there was more of a division. So it was nice to observe, to be able to read about it. Yeah.
So I was going to say, it's really a timeline, and it's not like a 10-year timeline. It's like a 40-year timeline. I mean, you go from, I mean, you could start it with, I'd probably start it with Rapture by Blondie. Then I'd go to Rock Box and King of Rock by Run DMC. No Sleep Till Brooklyn by the Beastie Boys. And that
Sugar
same
Hill Gang.
year is what's that?
Is Sugar Hill Gang, is that around the same?
Yeah, well,
like
you would probably, that's why my question was, do you start it with Blondie, Rapture? You would probably start it with Rapper's Delight and New York, New York. Those are more those are actually disco records. Those are like sample chic and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The first time you really get it as rock is with the records I was talking about. I think I last said No Sleep Till Brooklyn, and then you would put Walk This Way. And, then there's the Southern California, or I would say the West Coast breakthrough of rock and rap together, like rock and rap as opposed to rap and rock. You know, I think of Red Hot Chili Peppers' Fight Like a Brave, or Epic by Faith No More, or then you advance it a little bit and you get to Jump Around by House of Pain. Then you would get to Cypress Hill, and all that culminates in Rage Against the Machine. And Rage Against the Machine, the real rock and rap thing, there's a record called Judgment Night, which I also have a chapter about in the book. And that's kind of like where Helmet and House of Pain, or Pearl Jam and Cypress Hill, you know, these kind of mixtures start happening.
Yeah.
And then you get to the dirty little secret of rock, which is now called nu metal, which, you know, it's the rise of Korn and Limp Bizkit and System of a Down and Linkin Park. And there's your 40 years. That's your timeline. You know, you start in 1981 and you go till now, really. I mean, those bands are still big. it's funny because when I started working on the book, I definitely was not a fan of, like, Korn and Limp Bizkit weren't high up on my rankings. But if you think about it, DJ Lethal from House of Pain became the DJ of Limp Bizkit, right? So it just kind of continues. That's why I called it the dirty little secret. But it's 30 plus years of this rock and hip hop mixture, which continues today to the point where you don't even think twice about it. You hear rappers doing metal, you have every combination thereof. So, Dr. Dre goes on tour with Limp Bizkit, goes on and on. So it's interesting story. I think when Rock Met Hip Hop is a much deeper story than Walk This Way.
Yeah.
I think it's a fascinating story, and I think it's the story of America. I really do. I think it's a very American story, and I believe that this will continue. I don't see any end of it. I could be wrong, but this just keeps going.
Go ahead, Dave.
I was going to go back to, you mentioned the through line. I guess the through line in your reggae book, you mentioned the Clash is your band for reggae, but then in this book you mentioned that you saw the Clash, you saw Curtis Blow open up for the Clash, and just kind of bringing those together, some rock and roll and hip hop, and how it worked. Partially, you also mentioned there was some disconnect between the two. Why Curtis Blow is opening up for the Clash? You want to talk a little bit about like the meeting of the two, and did it work for you?
The Clash were all about, the Clash were trying to break through. They were trying to. They had this incredible thing where they were trying to educate you while making you dance, right? I mean, they start off as a punk band, but essentially that's what you have with them. They were educating their audiences, which is kind of unheard of. Curtis Blow was like the first big rap star. And the Clash would have Curtis Blow or Grandmaster Flash open for them, which was really a cultural breakthrough, but it was also like a war. And what you would basically have is Curtis Blow would hit the stage, and people weren't as sophisticated at that point, and you'd hear people dropping the N-bombs and all that kind of stuff going on. So same with Grandmaster Flash. You would have that, which but then again, I remember in Los Angeles, you couldn't go to a rock show without hearing people dropping N-bombs either. So I think that's the whole world is grown.
Prince got booed off the stage.
Prince and the Stones.
Yep.
Prince.
Yeah. So that's pretty much how it was. Yeah, and we're a better world for it, not for going through it, but for coming out on the other side.
Any chance you watched the Super Bowl halftime show last night?
I did. I thought it was great.
When the Super Bowl met reggae,
it was awesome. I thought that was a breakthrough.
Yeah,
I thought that was a breakthrough. I really felt like Yeah. I felt like the world. Yeah, the world is different because of that. I had that feeling, and I've talked to people who don't feel that way, and I don't really get it, because I think like America changed overnight with that. I really do. People think differently about music now. I think it's. I thought it was fascinating. I thought it was great, and these are the kind of breakthroughs we need. There's always something, just like when rock met hip hop. This is one of those kind of moments. So I'm all for it.
Let's hope it takes.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. No. I think people didn't even think about like a show in Spanish for one, but also because it was kind of cool. The whole setup was really wonderful.
Yeah. I mean, yes, he did an amazing job, but there's always the negatives. Like with Rock Met Disco, there was the what was it, the Steve Dahl moment. This year we have this alternate halftime show. There's there's always going to be these craziness. I mean, so can you talk a little bit about, there wasn't too much radio airplay, or the significance of getting Walk This Way played on the radio, the Aerosmith Run DMC, like on pop radio?
Yeah, well, that was the big crossover, wasn't it? And it's interesting. There's a discussion about whether that crossover helped Aerosmith more or helped Run DMC more. And I have to say, it probably, to be really honest, I think it probably helped Aerosmith more, because they were dead on arrival at that point.
Yeah.
And they were, I mean, that was a train wreck at that point. They were in really bad shape. But you can't say it didn't change everything for Run DMC also, you know. And I also think the Run DMC Beastie Boys tours were a huge part, you know. I think, again, these are moments that change history. These are moments that change culture. I'm a big believer that music and culture changes society more than politics. I think it's really obvious that music causes societal shifts that political leaders never could do. I think we're and it changed the world too. I mean, I was watching the Olympics and watching the snowboarders, and I'm thinking, like, well, everyone here looks American, you know, no matter what country they're from. They look like Americans, and you see how much we change the world. You know, we have our own problems, but we cause seismic shifts in society. I think that's underplayed a little bit. Just like when rock met hip hop, you know, it changes society. It changed the language. It changed the fashion. It changed the music. You know, it changes everything. So yeah. I see it as a net positive. I really do.
Okay, so let me ask you a question specifically about the Red Hot Chili Peppers and Faith No More. So I see the influence. I see there was, I know Anthony Kiedis had a problem with Mike Patton and whatever the whole issue was. You mentioned this, and I didn't know this myself, that Faith No More did better in Europe, sold more in Europe, toured more, and was more widely liked in Europe. Why is that? Why do you think that is?
I just think it's they worked harder. You know, really, I think that they were touring 200 days a year. You know, they were touring constantly. But the funny part about what you just brought up is Mike Patton wasn't a very nice guy, and he caused a lot of problems for Faith No More, particularly starting with Anthony Kiedis. He would diss Anthony Kiedis from the stage. He would diss Guns N' Roses from the stage. He would diss Poison from the stage, which maybe that makes sense. He was not the nicest guy. That caused the war. And that was the end of Faith No More touring with Red Hot Chili Peppers. It was the end of Faith No More touring with Guns N' Roses. It was the end of Faith No More touring with Metallica. He did not carry himself in a professional manner, let's say.
Yet, supposedly he was better for the band. So, isn't that
he was such a better singer than Chuck Mosley, for instance, their original singer.
Yeah.
We're talking to Roddy tomorrow. What should we ask him? Roddy Bottom, the keyboardist of Faith No More. I don't know if you've read his book.
Yeah,
his memoir.
Well, I love Roddy. Yeah, I love Roddy Bottom. You could ask him what happened to Faith No More. I mean, Faith No More was one of the biggest bands in the world. And then like, what happened to what was one of the biggest bands of the late 80s and early 90s? And how much did Mike Patton's behavior toward other bands have to do with that? I mean, that's the question.
Also,
I still don't know the answer.
It's a lot of heroin usage is what we understand is what happened.
But not Mike, right? The rest of the band. Yeah.
I mean, I could be wrong. I don't think that was
It was a whole
if you're
other.
talking about Roddy, then okay, but I don't think that really had anything to do with Mike Patton.
No, well, yes, I know. But yeah, well,
Yeah. Roddy
it's
was amazing because Roddy was the first. He might have been the first rock star out of the. No, wasn't the first rock star out of the closet because of course there's like Freddie Mercury and things like that. But
I mean,
it
could
was
we have
shocking when he.
Oh, I was going to say the fourth version of your book is when where I don't know when gay met when rock met gay when rock went gay or something like that. I don't know. You're the author. You figure it out.
History that's actually worth exploring. But yeah, he was.
Oh, that would be a good story. I remember when he came out of the closet. I remember that. I remember that really well. I was around when that happened. I thought Faith No More should have been one of the biggest bands of all time. I mean, really, they had it all. They also every band they after the album with Epic, they did an album called Angel Dust, and that was probably the most imitated record. Like every musician was trying to do Angel Dust, and that's what nu metal is, kind of. That kind of sounds like that. You know, Faith No More made a deal with the devil when they got Mike Patton. Mike Patton never really promised them that he was going to be there for the long ride.
Yeah, no, he follows his own muse.
He never, you know what I mean? You know what I'm getting at, right?
Oh yeah, he's Mr. Bungle. He's that guy.
Yeah, he always was Mr. Bungle.
Yeah.
So I don't. They threw Chuck Mosley out of the band. They threw Jim Martin out of the band. You know, I mean, I was very close friends with them, but they did not handle that stuff right, you know, and
it's tough. You're in your 20s. It's tough to handle all this stuff, you know, like professionally, like as adults when you don't have that experience. I think that's with a lot of bands. That's an issue.
But Roddy Bottum is, you know, he's kind of a genius. I mean, he's really smart. He made a lot of money in the stock market. And, do you know this stuff? Am I telling you something you don't know?
It's in the book. He mentions it, and like he invested in Apple.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So
it's almost like
he's from the family of and his family is Wall Drug of South Dakota.
Oh.
He does not mention that.
No, he does not.
Yeah, that's his family. Yeah, that's his family.
Right.
Oh, interesting.
So he's a really fascinating guy, and like I said, very early out of the closet. Brilliant musician. He's done soundtracks and stuff. I mean, he's really very talented. Yeah, he's brilliant. I mean, he's a true. I don't throw that word around. But
look forward to talking.
Really, yeah, good. Well, tell him I said hello.
I will. We will.
Yeah.
The book. This is a great story. The book is a lot, and what he's overcome.
Yeah, I haven't read it yet. I know the book is out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I had told him years ago he should write a book.
Yeah.
Okay, can I talk about? We mentioned like the beginning. I always feel like the end of rock meeting hip hop is at Woodstock '99. Do you feel like that? Like that's as big as it was. Like, you know what? This is not right. Was that like a moment?
Yeah,
that
that's where you get to Limp Bizkit, right?
Yeah,
and well, so that's the billion-dollar question. You know, is that where it ended? Obviously, it didn't end because it still goes on. You know, I mean, maybe to us with who've seen it all could feel that way, but it obviously still exists. But yeah, I mean, a very good point could be made that I was going to say the light went on in the funhouse, but that's not the word. That's not the term I'm looking for. But
it is kind of like the
it was no longer fun. There was something about it. It was no longer fun.
Yeah.
and something happened there. Yes, you make an excellent point. But then again, as I point out, new metal still exists and is still powerful, and they're still breakdancing, they're still rapping, and they're still doing all that. So I don't like to be the one who says it's over, because you just sound like a jaded old man. But
So,
But yeah, there's
but you're not incorrect. You're not incorrect in what you're saying. Okay,
Yeah.
I will give you that. So
yeah, I know there's always going to be angry teens, and there's always going to be music. That's where they're going to go, for the most part.
right, yeah. So that's the point I'm trying to make. But yeah, it did lose its fun. The fun. It definitely
wasn't just for the nookie
like
anymore.
that anymore. There was that really. There's that time where it's like I kind of describe with the Red Hot Chili Peppers and Faith No More and House of Pain. Now that's a fun period of time. People are doing new, exciting, different things, and that part was definitely over with. So I will give you that, because it's not untrue. It's not untrue.
Okay, so is there any hip hop artists coming out now that we should be listening to?
I don't know. I keep on hearing like these I'm really bad at names sometime, but I have nephews and stuff, and they listen to these guys who are white guys with tattooed faces and, doing their hip hop, and they're cool, They're
hip hop.
they're not
Are they cool?
unlegitimate. Yeah, they're not unlegitimate.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that. I don't think.
Well, I guess
I don't think rock's gonna die. I don't think hip hop's gonna die.
Yeah.
I really don't. I don't see that. I don't see, like, I had a period once where it was like Korn and Marilyn Manson, and I'm like, this shit's over with, But that was a stupid way of looking at things, because there's always something happening.
Yeah. So there was always. I mean, a lot of times it's depends on the producer, getting the right producer, the right sounds. You mentioned the, there's just a handful of records that you mentioned, but the Dust Brothers, of course, come up like in the later period. With you got your Paul's Boutique, and then Beck's Odelay. So that was like using it creatively, and there were a number of bands that you mentioned, like in the late '90s, that were doing amazing things. What was it? You got your there was Cake and House of Pain, and there was
Luscious Jackson,
Luscious, yes, thank you, Luscious Jackson, like these sounds. So what were the Dust Brothers doing that made it so innovative?
Can I and please include Vince Neil, because I listened to that Vince Neil song.
That's pretty cool, right?
It was interesting.
It's a
and
cool
unexpected.
song.
I had not heard it. Yes, but please include him in your in your talk about the Dust Brothers.
So for people who don't know, the Dust Brothers had just come off of producing Odelay, and before that, Paul's Boutique by Beastie Boys. So somebody at Warner Brothers had this idea of putting Vince Neil from Motley Crue together with the Dust Brothers. The first song on the album is kind of this killer hip hop rock crossover. And they both hate each other for this record. I mean, they despise each other. The Dust Brothers hate Vince Neil. Vince Neil hates them. They both think Vince Neil thinks that they ruined his career. But I don't know. His career was already going down pretty fast with Motley Crue. So I don't know if that's a really fair thing. And I think Vince Neil, the Dust Brothers comment was something about girls with fake tits and something like that. It was right. It's something like that.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So given the sources, I don't think either one of them are really right. But it was a kind of a killer record. So you had, I call that chapter rock rap.
Yeah.
like alternative rock, rap.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So there's this period where the Beastie Boys had their record label Grand Royal, which should have been huge. I don't know what happened with those guys. I always thought that Mike D was going to be the president of Capitol Records one day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really saw him as, and he just kind of bailed out. I mean, I think last I heard is that he's like living in Bali or something, and just kind of
More power to him. He
you know,
deserves it.
he just checked out, basically.
He's checking his head.
But yep, checking his head. Very good.
Good one.
Touche. Yeah. But anyway, so there's this period where it's like alternative rock and rap. So it's the best known one would be Beck Odelay, which we've mentioned a few times. All of the Luscious Jackson records, which are kind of connected to the Beastie Boys. Cake, which is a really, that song that they did, Jacket, whatever that song's called, the one that they do with the
long skirt, tall jacket. Wait. What's the one is long, one is short? Wait. It was.
It's something really close to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
and what a great song that
highlighted
is.
it.
I mean, that's a great song. That's alternative rock and hip hop together.
Yeah.
It's very much like Odelay, if you ask me, which is a great record. I wasn't a big fan of the first Beck record, although that's probably his biggest record. But Odelay was like this genius. The Dust Brothers are really good. I mean, they're really, really good. The way that they their sampling techniques are beyond the pale. So yeah,
the cake song is short skirt, long jacket, and then
they're from Sacramento, which makes it kind of interesting too.
Soul Coughing was another band that I really enjoyed. Yep. Okay, so the foreword is by Bill Adler, and so I don't know much about this person. Why was he the perfect person for this book?
Yeah, well, Bill Adler was the publicist at Def Jam during their classic days, and he also runs a museum of a hip hop museum at Cornell University. So he's the perfect combination of intellectual and street. So that's why I have Bill Adler writing the foreword to the book. And he's widely recognized in the hip hop community as being the smart guy for his intellectual prowess, really. Yeah.
So he's so the historian, kind of like the Questlove of this particular era, just kind of was really there. And you were there too. I mean, let's mention Seconds magazine for a sec. Can you tell me? So, as Bill mentions on the cover, the first cover story, you put the Beastie Boys on there. What year was this, and why did you put them on there, and what was it that excited you about them at the time?
1985. That's their first ever cover. It's before License to Ill. They did a song called She's On It, which was their first 12-inch. And I knew them back then through Rick Rubin. Well, I knew about them before because they had a history as a hardcore punk band, which is kind of the roots I come from. This is where they really turned into the rap group with Rick Rubin. I was an editor for a bunch of the hip New York magazines. I guess you would call them fashion magazines. Paper Magazine, Details, Interview Magazine. So that was kind of where I got my start and my idea to start my own magazine, which is I guess you would call it a tastemaker magazine, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
I have gold records on the wall over here. That's like Soundgarden and Faith No More. There's a few more. But so those were the bands I helped break, so to speak. I did 52 issues of it. But we never really made a lot of money. We never really capitalized on that. We were a little too. One thing I've learned is you never want to be the very first.
Yeah.
People call you the first, but You want to be like about the 5th or 6th.
And already
a really good
established.
example of that would be right. Like a really good example of that I would put as would be Nirvana. Nirvana are called the first, but they were really in a relatively short line of other Seattle bands.
Yeah.
You know, it was Mudhoney, it was Soundgarden, it was Green River that became Pearl Jam. That's about where we should have been. I should have been the first person on Queens of the Stone Age or Beastie Boys or Faith No More or whatever. I should have been a little further down the line to
Well, you did
do that.
name the
But,
Nirvana
what I
publications.
found, yeah, exactly. And that I was, that's another band, saw their first shows in New York and all those kind of things. I was a little too early in the game for a lot of these things. But I think like everything I've done, Seconds Magazine now gets a lot more props than it did back in the day. And it's because we were so ahead of the times. So that's my cross to bear.
You named it Seconds. You want to come? Is that you?
Yep.
Instead, you're always the first, though. It should have been Seconds. Seconds is what you want.
It should have been. That was the name of a movie and a book that I had read. I don't know why I called it Seconds. I'm not really sure.
Is that where the title came from? Oh, okay.
I was thinking records, records like Seconds.
Yeah, no, it turned out that it could have meant a lot of things, but
yeah, it's your secret.
I'm actually not sure why I named it that, to be honest with you, but probably didn't help. I was there for all these bands.
Have they been digitized like Seconds Magazine? Would we be able to see some of these articles online?
Just recently, yeah.
Oh, awesome!
So I'm gonna post it. Yeah, I'm also talking about maybe doing a book of the entire catalog.
Idea.
That's quite an endeavor. Yeah. So, but I've digitized it all just for that. Whether
that's great. Yeah.
Whether it's going to be a book or on my website, I'm not sure. That remains to be seen. I was definitely the first person on Faith No More, I'll tell you that much. Definitely first person on Soundgarden. Definitely Queens of the Stone Age used to be a band called Caius from the desert.
Yeah.
And so I was really tight with them. I was very early with a lot of the metal bands.
I was going to say, when you move to LA, you could just move to Joshua Tree. That's where all the cool music and all the cool sounds come from.
Yeah. I almost moved to Joshua Tree, to be honest with you. That's where I was going to go.
Yeah, I see you there.
Again,
I see that.
I was early in the game.
Yeah.
I was going to move there.
I see it. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. No, my friend lived in something Valley.
I'm thinking of 29 Palms.
It's one of the towns right now. Yeah. Well, I know that town too. But anyway, so I was looking to move exactly there, and then my mother was like, "Please don't move there. You'll never come back."
Oh, yeah. So there is family. That was
kind of a hard one. Like I couldn't argue with that one. No, I think I would have done really well in LA. I think I would have kicked ass in LA for sure. But I'm okay.
It is a different way of life.
Yeah,
it's a different way of life. It definitely is from
for sure,
New York.
For sure it is. Yeah. So, but I always enjoy it when I come there. I'm going to be there at the end of the year. I'll be at Book Soup and a few of those places to promote these books.
Awesome!
I'll let you guys know when.
Oh, that'd be great. We'll bring Matt along with us.
Oh yeah. Well, he'll probably be hosting.
I want to have him host it. Actually, that's
yes. There you go. Yeah, that. Good thinking.
Okay. Before we wrap this up, I want to point out that we probably should have started. We can't have a conversation like this without talking about Rick Rubin, who you mentioned, and Russell Simmons. I feel we didn't even mention them. And for me, I learned a lot from, I always knew them, Def Jam and Rick Rubin obviously produced a lot of the bands that we continue to listen to. But it was interesting to read more of the history between them and what how Def Jam started, and yeah. So, I mean, I'll credit to we credit them with a lot of I mean, they were at the start, right? They were at the very beginning. Shouldn't we be giving them
I
a lot
mean,
of credit?
The story of modern hip hop starts with Rick Rubin and Russell Simmons. They were the most unlikely of couples to come to work together. You had Russell, who was like a black party promoter. You know, he like a sharp dressed kind of African American man, and he teamed up with Rick Rubin, who was kind of like this dressed down heavy metal punk rock type guy, and they were the most unlikely of teams to work together. Yet, I think the combination of the two was unstoppable and forever changed the face of music. They had very different tastes. Rick was the Beastie Boys, Slayer, Danzig type, and Russell was like the LL Cool J. He's the one who basically broke LL Cool J. So if you know your music, those two parties don't have much in common, but together they were, it was an incredibly powerful force. And I would say that you would not have hip hop today if it wasn't for those two guys meeting in New York City.
Yeah.
And when you met Rick Rubin early on, you mentioned that you knew of him. What are your impressions of him like?
There was a band called Flipper that was kind of like a popular band, and they were, well, I don't know if they were popular, but they were popular for being unpopular. Yeah, but they were like a noise band, and their whole aesthetic was, there was like a clear the room aesthetic, I would probably describe it as. They used to play with the Dead Kennedys a lot, and then there became a whole school of bands that were kind of like Flipper. And I worked with a band called No Trend, which was from Washington, D.C., who certainly had that aesthetic. And Rick had a band in New York called Hose, Hose, which was that same aesthetic. So that's how we got to know each other, because there was only maybe about a half dozen of these bands around the country. Butthole Surfers were kind of one of those bands originally, and they kind of developed their own sound beyond it. But they were definitely like to upset people. So there was
nice.
but that's what it was, you know. It was just kind of like, how do you alienate your audience and clear the room? So that's the kind of band that Rick Rubin had. They would do noise covers of, I don't know, like Super Freak or like a Black Sabbath song or some, you know, they would if you could find that record anywhere, that would probably be worth checking out. It's just called Hose, and got this like fake Mondrian cover. You know, if you know that artwork. There was a hotel there. Is that hotel still there?
Mondrian is it still
the Mondrian?
I think it's changed.
Boy, I don't.
But anyway, you know what I'm talking about. That kind of, it looks like stained glass almost. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you could find that record, I'm sure you could find it. I'm sure it's on YouTube or something like that.
Yeah. You just sent Dave on a mission.
Out.
Yeah.
Yeah. You should check that out, because it's just like, they do Super Freak. They do, I don't know, they do all these like these noise versions of those songs. So it's worth checking out. That's what Rick Rubin was doing back then. And
but as
you know,
but
people
he had this
crazy.
vision, right? So I'm sure, did you have his ear? Was he talking things about like, oh, I got this band, I want to do this, I want to do that? Did you see like
he told me all this stuff.
Yeah,
in fact, he stayed at my house once, and when I lived in Washington, D.C., he was telling me all these ideas he had, and I thought most of them were crazy. He wanted to, what was one of them was that he wanted to produce, back then he was talking about producing Robert Palmer. I remember that was one of his ideas. I don't know, he was just so he was just so
Right. It
ahead of
sounds
the curve.
crazy. Now it's right. Now it sounds like, well, of course he should have produced Robert Palmer.
Yeah,
But yeah,
right.
I'm sure when you hear it
Right. So,
from a 21-year-old, when he says that, like, what are you're insane.
Yep. Yeah, and he used to always wear like he was dressed in all leather. I remember that too. It was like leather jacket, leather pants.
Well, it was the 80s.
So
you could do whatever you want.
he was quite a trip. Yeah. I was around him and Russell for quite a while. And I was around the Beastie Boys for quite a while too. I was really close with he was kind of the soul of the Beastie Boys.
Yeah.
I related to him the most of that band, I would say. Russell, I didn't really get. I mean, I'd be around him, but I didn't really, you know, he was like into R&B and he was into, I don't know. It was just like not the kind of black music I really liked. You know,
Yeah.
I found that, you know, when these guys came up with this like heavy version of hip hop, that's what really spoke to me. And that's when rock met hip hop.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, you said that when Rock Met Disco, you said this is the story of my life. It sounds like this book is also the story. I mean, the trilogy. It's the story of it's a 3-part trilogy of your life in music. Is that what it's safe to say?
Yeah, no, you're really right about that. I think that's fair. That's fair. And it also speaks to my vision of music, which is it should be a little bit of everything. I think that's where it's at. I mean, music should be a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Because
where it's at,
it's kind of boring.
Two turntables and a microphone.
Where it's at. That's what's exciting to me is that, again, I said that thing about black and white, and it should be, you know, shades of different styles, and I think that's also a big part of me growing up in New York too. I think a lot of that has to do with hearing disco, seeing rock, reggae, experiencing rock and hip hop. So, that's been my life. Yeah, I can't really say that. I think before I had said rock and hip hop is mostly my life, but I guess it's not. I guess it really is all of this. So thanks for pointing that out to me.
Oh, sure. Oh, anytime. You have ideas for different books. The last thing I was going to, the Bloodhound Gang have a lyric that you quoted, which is, "I'm not black like Barry White. No, I'm white like Frank Black is," which is kind of like how we all are.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I think that's I love that line, and I think that's how we all see things now. I think it's because of when rock met hip hop. Yeah, I think it's we look at things this way because the world changed, like I was talking about before. I think this has changed the world for the better. So, and just so you know, I think this is the end of my series of books. I'm going to stop it at a trilogy.
I don't know. I've got this great idea.
When rock met country, I don't know. When rock met industrial. You know,
when rock met gay,
I think I've written
about it.
Yeah,
think about it.
I think that's a good one.
Or they could
I do like that.
They could be one-offs.
Yeah. Don't close the book.
Yeah.
What are you doing, man? There's so many other ideas out there that we can do. I'm just the idea.
You know
man.
what? We may be talking in a couple of years again about this stuff. So who knows?
It could be a one-off. It doesn't have to be a part of a quadrilogy, quad. But yeah, we'll be here.
Yes, that's but trilogy is that's a nice number.
It is.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
Yeah.
I guess if it's good enough for Tolkien, it's good enough for you. Fine.
Yep.
Anything, Holly? You want to? Anything else you got on your plate?
No, I think I think I'm good. I think we covered most of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was great. Always fun to revisit. these songs that, and yeah, I love these books because then you go back and because we can stream all the music, you can pull up that Vince Neil song that I had no interest in hearing, and now apparently I do need to give this a listen. So
I don't know
you
that
want
you'll
to hear
like
that
it,
song.
but it was fun.
Yeah.
But it is
a pretty cool
interesting.
song, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Pretty
I
cool.
mean, it's
Vince.
Vince Neil and the Dust Brothers. I mean, it's like,
Yeah.
you can't even make
I
that
like
one up.
Yeah, I like half of that.
I know. And it's not the Vince Neil half.
Yeah, but that's all right.
No, it was fun. It gave me an opportunity to go back. I should have asked you for a playlist, Steven, but I listened as I was reading to just went back and listened to a lot of this stuff. De La Soul I hadn't listened to in years. That was a lot of fun.
Judgment Night, apparently. I forgot about Judgment Night. I'm glad you mentioned that book. That was an actual chapter of how a horrible movie.
So that is
amazing
actually an incredibly successful book. I'm sorry, it's a very successful record and a total bomb of a film.
But it worked.
The film was apparently terrible. I've never actually seen it, but I've.
Well, props to the music supervisor, whoever did that. That was some brilliant synergy.
Yeah, so that's Happy Walters. Yeah, so that's Happy Walters, who was the manager of House of Pain and Cypress Hill. And what I didn't know is that Happy Gilmore, the movie, is named after him.
Yeah, I did know that.
I did not know that.
That's insane. Yeah, I know. It's yeah.
That's right.
I mean, it's in the book, but I didn't know that beforehand. So, because it's vaguely based on his life.
Yeah. Fun tidbits. You never know what you're going to get in these Blush books now. The Blush trilogies. The Blush trilogy. Well, thanks again, Steve. This was really wonderful. Yeah, we loved it. And,
it was really fun.
We'll look forward to. Okay, now's your time. Go ahead. Here's your opportunity. Where can we find this book or the trilogy? Can we get it in a box set yet? Is that available? With liner notes and
that's
the
actually
poster?
going to happen.
Good.
That's actually going to happen. But right now I always tell people, I know it's verboten to say it, but fastest and cheapest is Amazon. Yeah. You could support your independent bookstore. I support that as well. But if you want it right away and you want it inexpensively, go to the devil and buy it from them.
Or you can wait until the end of the year and meet you at Book Soup if you're in Los Angeles.
Yep.
Buy it there.
That's right. I will be there. Yes, of course.
Jumping in the van and doing.
All right. Well, that sounds great, guys. I really appreciate all your support as usual.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate your time. It's been wonderful, and
thank you for coming back.
Yeah, and good luck with Roddy. That'll be great.
Yeah, thank you. I know. I think I just I'll we'll tell him you say hello. We'll send him your best. He'll speak highly of you.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, good.
Last
we'll
I
tell
checked,
him about. Well, I'll float the idea of when Rock Met Gay and see if he likes that idea. See if
you guys can co-author the queer as an addendum.
Yeah, two straight men as
exactly.
That'd be great. Perfect. Right. Well.
All right. Thanks, Stephen.
Thanks, Stephen. Appreciate it.
All right, you got it, guys. Take care.
Take care.
Right. Yeah.
Good luck with it.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.